And we are back with Tania for another segment of Yak and Chat.
Yak and Chat.
Yak and Chat, which we repeated bunches of times last time. All right, I just want to explain to our audience out there why I always say, and we're back, because Yak and Chat is actually a segment of a larger broadcast of Yak About. It's the iHeartRadio show, Yak About. And Tania and I do a segment called Yak and Chat as part of that larger broadcast. And we put up this segment as a video. So I thought I'd explain that to our audience. And this week, it's interesting, Tania. We have really a very mixed show today because we're going to do some fun things. We'll figure out the jingles that you prepared for our little segment, which will be fun. I'll talk a little about what Yak About, the radio show, actually is for your audience. But then you have sort of some serious subject matter that you want to talk through. Some of the stories that you're doing with local heroes and first responders, and
I think that's probably going to happen a lot, where we have really highs and really lows. With not lows, but the serious side and then the fun side.
Yeah,
I mean, I like nice to mix. Tend to
It's a nice mix.
Spectrum.
So let me start this way. Let me tell your audience just a brief history of what Yak About is.
Yes, because I talked the whole time last time about myself,
which made the show that much more interesting. I promise you.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, the Yak About actually started when I was invited to do a show for really who I call the more mature, the wiser and more mature of us. Some people call them the baby boomers. I sort of give them the title 4664s from the year the baby boomers started to the year, the last year a baby boomer was born. And when I started the show, it was dedicated to baby boomers and really explaining to them what technology was. And in simple ways, how to talk to your mobile phone company, how to negotiate a contract, how to talk to your cable provider, what to order, right? How to use the technologies that benefit you, and even went so far as recommending apps on their phones to teach people how to use the apps on their phone. So it was really how technology could benefit a group that was sort of old enough that they weren't born into the technology. Mm-hmm. Then what happened? The
technology then was probably record, vinyl,
and electric typewriters, which was the newest technology from the World's Fair. But what happened is the audience grew. And we knew that there were other subjects that people would really like to talk about. So we started talking about health. We started talking about nutrition. And we opened it up to the subject matter that would be of interest to this particular audience. At the same time, we realized that in a lot of our markets, right, local markets, we're really representing those first responders and the heroes and all that in the local markets. And I thought it was important to bring that to my community also. And also because you had the most fabulous radio show, a Chunky Chat, on the air. And when you gave
That's how we met.
That's how we met. And when you gave that up to pursue other things, I thought, I begged you actually for a year now to come on board with me, and at least we can put something together.
Well, it's nice because I can feature some of the heroes on Chunky Chat, but not be responsible for an entire show every week.
Yes. So anyway, that's
the honest.
Yeah. And so that's what I just wanted to tell your audience exactly what we were doing here. So I'm hoping everybody will tune into the entire broadcast on iHeartRadio's Yak About. There are Yak About apps now, both for Android.
I was going to say you have an app.
That's right. We have an app for both Android and for iOS. And, of course, you can get us on all the major podcasts. Okay, having said that, shall we try? So let me set this up.
Okay.
Right, before we go into the serious stuff. So Tania, who's really the pure creative of the two of us, decided that we needed a sound, right? We needed jingles, right?
I may be more the crazy creative, but I'm a singer, so we have to have sound.
That's right. We have to have sound and we have to have jingles. So we decided to differentiate this segment from the rest of the show. We would open it with a jingle.
And this is the debut. Well, actually,
That's right, the debut.
Let me know. Anyway, you keep talking and I'll.
Okay. So it's interesting the way we're going to do this. So you've been playing around with jingles, and because of we haven't set up the tech exactly right to do the spur of the moment, you're actually going to do this through your headphones.
Right, because it's exactly.
Okay. So,
and I want to say this is like we could keep going with jingles. This is just I felt inspired because I made this big promise that I was going to do jingles. So I set myself up for okay. So but it pushed me and I got to learn more about my new recording system, which is excellent. So this is just a little this was the first kind of thing out of the gate. I don't know. It might be crazy. And you've never heard it. I'm taking a risk.
I haven't heard it. I'm so excited. I waited for this.
We'll see how you look. You might be like, "That's interesting."
All right.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, so how are you?
You're
going to, because people are actually watching us, you're going to set up the jingle now.
I'm going into my Studio One.
Right.
And my PreSonus. I'm talking tech, see, but I am not tech. Okay, so let's see. I hope you can hear it.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
I did. Yakin chat.
Yeah, and I've got 4 stacks. Here, let me do it one more time.
Okay.
To me, that's sort of like the Mad Men sound.
Yeah, it is. It's very retro.
Okay.
Right.
Whoop. Okay. This must be. Here I am. Okay, here we go. Play. Yakin chat. So I don't know if you're hearing all the harmonies through that.
You know what I love about that? It's sort of like it's something like you can push the button. We can push the button, and every time even when we're speaking and we're going from subject to subject,
yes,
we can.
Which is kind of what I was doing, but probably didn't make any sense. The last time I was actually doing it with my voice, but you were kind of like, "Why do you keep interrupting me with like different Yakin chats?" But yeah, exactly. Now there's this other one that is just kind of pure just silliness, but I just did it. So that was the more like one. See, it's already in. Yeah,
I love it.
So
it is. And by the way, it is very retro. It does remind me of like the old radio stations, and they used to have these little I guess musical blurbs. I don't know what they're called. Just
yeah.
So anyway, you have another one.
Little jingles, yes, and this might make you go, okay.
Yakin chat.
I like it also.
To the core.
I like it also. I mean, actually, it's great. You know how we're talking about different subject matter, right? Well, one sort of seems to work well with maybe the lighter side, the more fun side, and the other one may work. Well,
I could go dark too. I mean, that was sort of weird dark, but I mean, we could have drama,
right?
Yeah, I want to do. I don't play instruments, so really, when I haven't recorded in a long time, but I'm back and ready, and I've got a bunch of songs I'm going to do. So what I do is I stack my voice, very much like Bobby McFerrin. I think I'm looking over here but anyway,
oh, right.
Where are you?
You're looking at me on the screen instead of
and you're in the tiny corner right now.
All right,
I'll get out of this.
For someone who doesn't play instruments, in the background I see keyboards, I see music stands.
Well, I do have students, and I know basics, but I mean, I don't play. I'm not a musician. I'm not an instrumental musician, but I do understand music and keyboards and ranges. And so I often use that to plunk out a melody of a song that I'm learning or help find where the student is,
Right.
Kind
right. While I'm looking at the background, because I love the photograph in the back.
That's Jupiter Beach, Florida at night.
That's beautiful. Is that one of yours?
No, it is not. It's Joseph Dietz out of Colorado.
Because you yourself are one of the great photographers in the area, definitely. And I see
I'm a paparazzi.
And I see in the background you've got a little tribute to my hometown of New York.
New York! Start spreading the news. So actually, that's Legos. Those are millions of I don't know millions, but little itty bitty Lego pieces. My brother gave me. He knows I love New York,
right?
And gave me that for Christmas, and I put it together. It actually didn't take too long.
Well, that's great.
And by the way, there are giant Legos at McKee Botanical Garden right now going on. I wanted to throw that out. That's my favorite.
We
place.
have to take we have to take a ride down there because the patisserie is down there now.
Yes,
and we know they're our favorite bakery.
Yeah,
that type of
had
thing.
their hot chocolate that night. Anyway,
Tanya, what I want to do is I want to break here
because we're going over and we haven't even
it's
gone.
All right because now we'll run this at the beginning of the show, and then I can break for commercial and come back to you.
Oh, all right, and then you can stay once again.
That's right.
We're back.
And we're back. So we'll be right back. I'm David Yakir. You're listening to Yak About with Tania Ortega-Cowan.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'll be right back. And we are back. I'm David Yakir here with Tania.
Yak and Chat.
And
that cracks me up.
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, if people hadn't seen it on the video, they'd think, we were back in the studio and this is what's going on. And I'm getting that warning again. So for everybody out there, if video is jumping around, it's because
we're digitizing.
It's because the broadband is a little crazy right now.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Okay, so let's go into really the serious part of this discussion, or not serious, but something important. And it has to do with your devotion to this community, and I'll leave you to take it from here.
Well, on Chunky Chat, chunkychat.com, it's conversations of substance with hometown heroes. And so one of the group of heroes that I follow and write about are our Indian River County Sheriff's Office deputies. So I do ride-alongs, and I did a New Year's Eve ride-along was my latest one. And it took me a couple of weeks, but I've just got the story ready and up on Chunky Chat. And I got to ride with Deputy Michael Dilks, who's been serving for 12 years. He's seen so many things. The story goes into the ride and what happened, and a lot of really compelling things happen, but it being New Year's Eve, we reflect, and I asked him to reflect on his career and really stand out experiences. And so he tells in detail the story of his rescue of this woman who was drowning last January in a retention pond car accident. And it's really powerful how he describes what happened in his own struggles with the cold and the depth, and all the gear on him. And so, but what I like to do when I reflect in stories is go to the news link and, link the news that is attached to the story. So it caused me to reflect, because when I was researching the story to link in my story, I see the rescue pictures, and one of the pictures is one of the gentlemen didn't make it. There were 3 people. There was a baby, a woman that Dilks took out of the water and saved her life, and then the gentleman who died. And so I'm looking at the news reports, and there's this picture of them pulling the man out of the water, and there's David Dangerfield, who our local audiences, and actually beyond local because it went very national, but he's the battalion chief who committed suicide this past October. And he was actually the star of my fire rescue book that I did 4 years ago. That's why it's also, kind of crazy and surreal. But I wanted to do this book 4 years ago, which really is what started Chunky Chat, and he helped lead the way for me to do that, which then led to my work at the sheriff's office. And so anyway, now this full circle. So that's included in the post too. And I can hear my voice. It's so,
very emotional.
Yeah, it's and mixed emotions, So who knows and why it affects one person that way. And then I think of wonderful Deputy Jake Kirby, who tried to save that man, just before this picture was taken, where the fire rescue were there to retrieve, because they got there later. But the man was thrashing and panicking and, practically drowning Kirby. And so, he's this young guy, this new young deputy, and how is that going to affect him in his life? But thankfully, these people continue to want to serve and help us, So anyway, that's my, we'll have to have like a violin sounding,
I don't mean to be facetious. It's interesting. I don't mean to be facetious. But a lot of people drive around and they see the sheriff's cars and deputies, and all they're worried about is, they're there to give me a ticket.
Yeah.
When in fact,
they're
there for a lot of, to make sure that you,
Yeah.
they watch over
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, they do.
And
if some of them look a little grumpy, maybe they've got some stuff weighing on them or not. I don't know. But there are humans, and there are certainly, because of humans, there's going to be bad humans too. I'm not like,
That's right.
but I just know the people that I know, and I see what they do. And so, and how, they all feel like they were very aware of being ambushed.
Yeah. And
at all times.
And what's so important is, these stories, I mean, given these times where there's a lot of animosity, toward the authorities, it's important to bring stories to light like this, because like you said, nobody's perfect, and there are some bad people in the authority position, and there are some bad people doing some bad things.
Yes. Thankfully, there's people that want to be hometown heroes and protect us from.
That's right.
Thank you.
And I think, and it is actually one of the reasons that I wanted us to do this, because I think it's helpful at this time to bring stories like this to the general public, so the general public understands that, everybody makes mistakes, but generally these are the people responsible for making sure that you're all right, or you're taken care of, or they may be the person to be there at the moment to save your life.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's really touching. Looking forward to more stories like that. I don't want there to be a lot of bad stuff going on, mind you.
Of course.
But,
and I wasn't even there, just hearing him tell it and then seeing the pictures, know.
Well, I'm glad we had this time.
I'm so glad we had this time together.
You remember, I'm one of those people you have to give singing lessons to. So when you burst out into song, at least I could try to harmonize.
You're wanting to already, though, aren't you? You're
I am. I'm just about to start singing, and I realize I can't. So I'll have to get lessons. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up, this segment of Yak and Chat. And I'm so pleased because we never really plan this kind of length of a Yak and Chat. Originally, we were talking about a catch-up of about 5-7 minutes type of thing.
We can yak and
we can. And so moving forward, there we are.
Yak and Chat.